Okay, I want to share a really interesting idea with you from a book called Anti-Fragile by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. Now this guy, a really interesting guy, he's an options trader. He's the guy that wrote the Black Swan book, which is also a good read. So, anti-fragile. So we probably all know what is fragile. So a wine glass is fragile. Strong, but we know if we drop it, it's going to break and shatter. What's robust? So a brick is robust. We can drop it, it doesn't break. It's strong, it's robust. What's anti-fragile? Anti-fragile is something that actually gets stronger through stress, stronger through disorder. So an example that really resonates with me is the global passenger airline industry. So how is the global passenger airline industry anti-fragile? Well, each crash actually makes the system stronger. So 300 people could die and it actually makes airline travel safer. So how is that? Well, of course, it's because they take safety really seriously. So if there's a crash, there's a global team of experts that will analyse that crash, they'll find the black box, they'll figure out what went wrong, and all of that learning is fed back really quickly into the system through this really well-organised framework. So if it's a mechanical problem, the solution is figured out and there's a system to disseminate that information and the fix to all of the owners of that airline. If it was a pilot error, they figure out what the problem is and they'll take that learning and inject it into pilot training all around the world. So, and that's one of the key reasons why global air travel is so incredibly safe. Every failure we learn from and the system gets stronger because of it. But how does this apply to other things? So let's just think that through. So in the book, Taleb gives a great example. So let's imagine there are two brothers. They're both in their 50s. And over the course of a year, they earn exactly the same amount of money. One guy is a middle manager in a bank. So he gets paid every fortnight. His income is really reliable. For the past 30 years, every fortnight money's gone into his bank. His brother is a taxi driver. Now his income varies every day. He's got to sort of work hard. He's got to think on his feet to make a living. Some weeks he makes more, some weeks he makes less. But over the course of the year, he earns the same amount of money as this guy. So this guy thinks that everything's reliable, everything's secure, until one day he goes to work and he gets the sack. What's he do then? He really doesn't know what to do. He's only ever been trained for one job. So what seemed like it was robust, in fact was fragile. It's just that it hadn't broken yet. Whereas this guy has learned over the years how to think on his feet, and even though his income sort of varies, from day to day, overall he can sustain changes. He can deal with shocks. So his income is actually anti-fragile compared to this guy. To give another example, New York banking system, how strong was that? Lots of money, lots of assets, and we had this impression that that was really strong until it broke. And it broke in a spectacular fashion with the GFC. Compare that to Silicon Valley venture capital, a really dynamic system. And even the best venture capitalists in the world rarely get it right more than 1 in 10. But that one great investment more than compensates for all the losses. So this is a hotbed of innovation, mistakes being made all the time, but they're easily reversible and not everything is lost. Here, where the points of failure are concentrated, when it breaks in a spectacular fashion and people don't see it coming. Here, it's sort of breaking all the time, but the mistake, there's lots of learning that goes on. So overall, this system is more anti-fragile. There's a whole heap of examples in the book. Once you get your head around it, you start seeing this framework applied in all sorts of areas. Really powerful idea. I strongly recommend it to you.